in 2001, you go from New York to LA.
Yeah.
Right? That's your big move out to be. So you're doing comedy. Oh, turn my phone off. Sorry. You're doing comedy in New York, but it's the catalyst was, I want to go.
Yeah. I done like probably maybe 75 open mics here.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Steve Aarons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I saw him once picking food out of his teeth, and then he pulled it out, looked at it, put it back in his mouth.
That might have been one of the non-grossest things he's ever done, I'm sure.
He is. I mean.
Yeah. So I used to do his open mics and his bringer shows at New York Comedy Club. But I knew I wanted to do it, but I also wanted to act.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with the Comedy Store and the Growlings.
Right. And Comedy Stores where you worked the door for a bit, right?
Yeah.
And they trusted you. You were one of the few people. You went through on a podcast of all the different ways people would steal money from the Comedy Store.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Like putting people on guest lists and taking the money and stuff like that, right?
Allegedly.
Good scam. And this was when...
Door guys.
Was this the guy with the mullet kind of guy?
That was Tommy. Now, Tommy was the main booth guy, but also the booker. Like he became the booker after a while.
You used to have to call the Comedy Store and they would answer. I remember I went to LA.
That was I still would when I go like in there. I just when I know I'm going there. If it's I call instinctively.
Yeah,
we call on Monday and you give them your avails for the week.
Yeah,
which was the system I think to this day is the best way to go about it. Like I love giving Patrick my avails, but like. If I give you an avails, it's 6 weeks away from what I think, things happen. A lot of stuff happens, so it's tougher. But that was the way to do it.
I called and Tommy answered, and I said, I'm a comic. I'm a headliner from Canada. I'm in town. What do I do to get up? He goes, you can't. He goes, you have to come here. You have to work the door.
What year was this?
Oh, boy.
Because it might have been like
2000s.
Tommy feeling himself, yeah.
And he goes, you can come by, check out a show if you want, and blah, blah. And I went by, and I go, hey, I'm here. And he goes, this is the Comedy Store. It is the greatest comedy club in the world. We have the best comedians on stage. I'm like, who's on tonight? He's like, Bobby Lee from Mad TV. Yep. We may have Andrew Dice Clay, a living legend. Yeah. And then went in and saw Dice on stage. And back then you were like, oh my God, this is Dice.
Yeah.
And then it went out. Sebastian Maniscalco was like
one of our best up and coming comics, Sebastian.
Hanging out around Dice, and we went in the back and I was smoking around.
Mitzi's got a plan for you, Aaron.
Yeah. And so that's what happened. And then I never did the Comedy Store until 2 years ago, and I did the main room on like a Sunday night, and it was great. And then the manager loved me, but now he's gone.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
How long did it take you from working the door to getting stage time?
Stage time or past?
Stage time you get right
stage
away.
Time,
stage time you get
past.
Yeah. Well, past is a whole different story, but stage time was like right away. You would get on you get your weekly 3-minute spot as a door employee person.
As part of the perks of getting it done.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
but really you realize pretty quickly at that time Mitzi was still coming in maybe once every other week, and a lot of guys were like, great, let me get up in front of her. But it was the disaster because if she was in a bad mood, even if you did well, you could get you could lose your job.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going up in front of her until I feel like I might be ready.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then one time, the first time I did really, really well. And I walked off stage and I was like, I got it, dude. This is like a year into it. And I called Duncan the next day. Like I knew everybody usually he calls people or lets them know if they got pat. I'm like, well, I'm surprised Duncan hasn't called me. I called him up. He's like, no, Mitzi didn't say anything about you. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, and that was the first person, he's like, kind of like being like, it's going to take a little bit. Like she's a little bit of a fickle. And I mean, like I had great sets in front of her. I bombed in front of her, and she spent years not passing me.
And then also for a while, you were taking care of her at her house? Is that right?
So I became a person that they trusted to do the cover booth and not the cover booth was more than just like stealing enough to just wet everyone's beak and not be aggressively and also you had to be there to answer the phone. You had to be good with math. You had to be good with people. There were guys that could only work the lot. There were door guys. There were very few people that they would let be a mouthpiece for the club in a sense. And so they trusted me enough to do that. So part of Tommy would work there were 2 shows on Saturday night. He would do the 8:00 show in the main room, and the original room show started at 10:30. Mm-hmm. But part of my job was I'd have to leave my apartment at 8, go to Mitzi's house under the assumption that I was going to bring her to the club to watch the shows.
Was she mobile or not?
Well, that's the thing. Like, this was always the thing that the guys did, but like no one updated the rules of what they did based on the situation that the owner was in.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I'd go there and she's in a nightgown. And she would just be sitting there, and you'd watch the news with her, and she would talk like she was a funny lady. Like she would just like talk like, "Look at these Arabs," like look how pissed they are. Oh my god, like so she was great to like hang with. But then like I'm like, all right, Mitzi, it'd be like 9 o'clock. I'm like, I'm gonna go. Do you want to go? And most times she'd be like, no, I won't. And then you'd have to like help her up to bed. And like walk and like carry her up there basically and like put her into bed and stuff. And then like, then you had to leave. Sometimes she like one time I got there, she like lost it. She's like, she goes, I want to go. I'm like, all right, great. And she goes, we're going to stop at, she was like Milton Berle's birthday party. Someone that was dead, like Red Button's birthday party.
Okay.
On the way, we're driving to the Comedy Store. I go, what? And I'm like, and if I'm not like the person that's like, I don't go like, Mitzi, he's dead. Like, I don't know what you're talking about right now. I'm like, absolutely. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, I want to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just got to stop at the store and get someone to cover my shift.
Okay.
Because I got to go work, right? So I pull into the parking lot and I run. I go, someone's got to, like, hot potato, dude. Like, this, like, you got to go get Mitzi out of my car and figure out, like, tell her that this person's dead.
Jesus.
And so, like, Argus Hamilton.
Didn't she also once say something like she was or something?
Yeah, one time she called the Comedy Store. She called the Comedy Store, and I was working this is like one of those nights I put her to bed.
Yeah,
and like, she's in bed.
No.
It's like 11:30 at night.
You're the prime suspect.
She goes, I answer the phone, and she goes, it's Mitzi. I've been in my own home. And I was like, what? Mitzi, what? I'm like, is he like, what do you mean? And I go, hold on. Are you okay? She's like, oh, get Tommy. I was like, all right, hold on. So I put a hold. I go running I go from the original room, running through the back to the kitchen, through the back of the main room. And Tommy's in the main room booth. And I see Eleanor Kerrigan, who's the head waitress at this time. And Eleanor, I go, Eleanor, where's Tommy? She goes, why? I go, Mitzi's on the phone. She said she was, and without missing a beat, Eleanor's handing a drink to someone, and someone grabs my arm, and it's Vince Vaughn, and he goes, hey, I just want to let you know, I Mitzi short tonight. He goes, I don't want to make it a big deal tonight. He goes, I don't want to make it a big deal. I don't want to get into it. He goes, let me go on stage. I'll talk about it. We'll just, he goes, I don't want to use the word. Did I take sex? Maybe.
God.
He's like, and because he thinks this is a gigantic joke. So I finally get Tommy. I go running back. I go there. Vince Vaughn's at the back, at the booth. Right? I pick up the phone. I go, Mitzi, hold on. Here's Tommy. He grabs it. He goes, hold on. I'll talk to her. I go, no. He's trying to grab the phone out of my hand. And I go, no, it's really, and he was like, what? I go, yeah, no, dude, it's really Mitzi. This is like where she is mentally right now. And then Tommy had to talk her out, like, whatever he had to do, voodoo her.